Japan is known for its cutting-edge tech, its anime, and its incredible food. But what about its sex culture? From futuristic adult toys to love hotels to host clubs to the famous Tenga brand, today we are diving deep into what makes Japan's approach to sex so unique. So I just went to Japan for the first time, and during my very brief visit, I obviously did some digging around to learn about what sex culture is really like over there, because I don't really know much about it other than the fact that there seems to have some deep-rooted cultural modesty where people don't really talk about sex in the open. On the other hand, Japan also has one of the most creative, and let's be honest, kind of wild adult industries in the world. So we're going to explore all of that in today's video. But first, I want to say hello everybody. Welcome to my channel. And if you are new here, my name is Allie. And on this platform, we have some casual conversations about sex, relationships, and other fun stuff. Now, sex is a fascinating topic because it is viewed so differently across the world. It is tied to religion, politics, history, identity, economics, yet every society interprets it differently. So what's considered normal, taboo, sacred, or even humorous in one country could be considered shocking and illegal in others. So I've done a few videos on sex and culture at this point. Y'all really seem to like those, and I will add them at the end of this video if you want to check them out. But before we get into the contents of this video, I just wanted to remind you all that I am still learning. The things that I am sharing with you in this video are things that I've learned through personal experience, conversations, observations, things that I've read, anecdotal data, and so on. And there is so much knowledge out there, so much that I have a hard time processing it all. So if there are ever things that I am unclear about, because there probably is a lot, I invite you to add your input into the comments below in a respectful manner. So let's get into all the nitty-gritty sex culture of Japan. All right, the first one is cheating. So cheating in Japan is looked at very differently than cheating in Western society. So a while ago, I saw this video from a very popular vlogger named Jinity. She was traveling to Japan and she asked a young local woman if it was considered cheating if her partner, husband, boyfriend paid a sex worker to have sex with. And she very casually said, no. It's professional, it's not cheating.
So I saw this crazy video about interviewing Japanese people and then saying okay, so if your boyfriend goes to prostitution, does that count as cheating? And then a lot of Japanese girls were like, no, that's not cheating.
No. Because prostitution is professional, right? He paid money, right?
You can imagine that a lot of people, especially in the West, hearing this would be like, what? That's crazy, because infidelity is huge here, you know? So after hearing that, I did a little bit of digging around on the internet and also while we were there and asking some locals, and I learned that cheating necessarily isn't approved in Japan, but it's quietly tolerated under the right circumstances, especially when it means to maintain the harmony within the marriage. Studies show a significant decrease in intimacy after marriage in Japan. The Japan Family Planning Association survey done in 2024 found that 48.3% of married individuals between the ages of 16 and 49 were in sexless marriages, meaning they were having sex less than once a month. Now, this is 30.9% more than in 2004. Some of the reasons being work fatigue, lack of interest, seeing sex as a nuisance, rising ages in marriage, and an increase in lifelong singles also contribute to this trend. So because of this, it's led a lot of people to have discreet affairs or engage in paid companionships like soap lands or delivery health services, which are just among the many sexual services available in Japan, rather than addressing the issue at home. And so because it's transactional and paid, it's a little bit more tolerated because technically no emotions are involved. Just like we saw at the beginning of this segment with that young woman saying she didn't really consider it cheating because it was with a professional. And I just find it really interesting how there are so many different nuances when it comes to sex, when it comes to cheating, when it comes to relationships, depending on who you are and where you are in the world. By the way, if you are interested in diving deeper into the whole sex culture of Japan, I just posted a video on my Patreon where I talk a little bit more about the wild and wacky range of activities that one can engage in if they want to while they're in Japan. Now, I did this sex history cultural red light tour with this famous Japanese YouTuber and comedian named Mishida, and he's organized this really cool tour, probably one of the coolest tours I've ever been on, where it's a little bit of history, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of trivia. We learn all about like the sex culture and history of Japan. It was so much fun. I learned all about the soap lands and the fashion health and the cosplay and the delivery health and the girl bars, and like there's so much stuff. It's like overwhelming. I don't even know where people come up with these things. In the tour that I did, he said some of the most common popular themes that people like to do are cheating housewife, medical examiner, and then role-playing sexual harassment in a crowded train. Anyways, if you want to learn more about that, also the muscle girl bar clubs things, anyways, there is a whole range of activities. It's really interesting to learn about. If you want to know more about that, you can check out my Patreon by clicking on the link below this video to see that content. And on my Patreon, you'll also get access to other behind the scenes content and a whole bunch of other stuff. So please make sure to check that out. And if you do, I just want to say a big thank you, because by doing so, you're supporting my content and me as a creator and this channel. And I am forever grateful. Like I said, click on the link in the description below this video to check it out. All right, let's move on to number 2. Is sex work legal in Japan? In the country, there's a law that states that selling real sex is illegal. But what exactly is real sex? So in Japan, real sex is considered to be penile vaginal intercourse. Everything else in between, you're good to go. That includes touching, kissing, and other types of adult activities. Yes, that includes anal. And these kinds of things are offered in different kinds of businesses. So technically, 2 people cannot make a deal to have sex / penile vaginal intercourse for money. So brothels selling these kinds of services are technically illegal. Not technically, they are illegal. So even though real sex for money is illegal, there are still plenty of other special adult businesses in Japan that offer things like soap land. So basically this is a giant bathhouse where you go and pay and you have a woman bathe you, and sometimes you can get some extra services. There's like a whole thing with the soap lands, which I talk about on my Patreon. So if you want to check that out, you can just click on the link below this description to get that bonus content. There's also delivery health services, which is basically like Uber, like ordering food to your house, but you order company. And then you have these host clubs or these hostess clubs where people pay for company. So like flirting and drinks, like no touching, things like that. It's really just for companionship and to have someone listen to you talk about your day. All right, we moving on to number 3, and that is the love hotels. So a love hotel in Japan is a short stay hotel that is designed for privacy. So couples can book overnight or just for a couple of hours and enjoy some private love making time. Now, a lot of these love hotels have crazy themes. They have karaoke, they have vending machines with adult toys. No, unfortunately, I did not have a chance to check one out while I was there. It was on my bucket list, but unfortunately, we did not have time. But you know, when I get back to Japan, and I will be going back, I will definitely be checking one out. But in the meantime, you can thank some of the content creators on YouTube for doing some of these love hotel tours because they are crazy wacky. So love hotels are not just for tourists. They are used by local Japanese people as well. They were originally created for prostitutes to be able to use with their clients, but Japanese couples who needed a private space for intimacy used them as well. Way back when, Japanese housing trends were characterized by small sleeping spaces that were often used as common areas during the day. So this left little opportunity for parents to get it on, which is why married couples started using love hotels. And young people live with their parents well into their 20s and their 30s, so the love hotel offers a private escape that they wouldn't ever really find at home. All right, we are moving on to number 4, which is the adult industry. Now, I know we've already talked a little bit about this, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more because there is just so much to say about it. This is where Japan's tech-forward mindset kicks in. From high-end pleasure products to AI-powered companion robots, Japan is leading the way when it comes to adult innovation. And it's not just toys. There has been an explosion of VR experiences and cuddle cafes for those who are seeking intimacy without the commitment. So there are these massive DVD stores which are everywhere. You see DVD written really big and you think it's a normal DVD store until you actually get there. One day, Gab and I, we were walking around all day. We were super tired. We sat down somewhere and then I look up and I see the massive DVD and I was like, oh, it's one of those stores. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go look inside, out of curiosity. Gab did not come with me. I went by myself. And again, when you see it on the outside, it looks like a normal DVD store. Then when you start going up the stairs, you see that it's 18 plus. When you walk in, it's a little overwhelming. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of DVDs. In these places, you can rent a DVD to watch in a room by yourself, or you can get the whole VR experience and enjoy the film that way. Also, when I was there, I got to visit Tenga. Now, if you don't know what Tenga is, they are a leading Japanese brand in the sexual wellness industry. They are very well known for their male masturbators, but they also have a female care line as well called Iroha. And I got to go on a tour of the store and the head office, and they have taken pleasure products to the next level, from taboo to stylish to sleek to medically researched, and just so much fun. If you want to see the vlog of the tour of the Tenga brand, I definitely recommend you check it out on my YouTube channel. I will link it at the end of this video. All right, now we're going to get into sex education. I feel like I've talked a lot about the sex industry, and I feel like we need to take a few steps back to actually see what's being taught in school when it comes to sexual health that is driving this sex culture. Now, after having numerous conversations with some locals, I realized that it's very similar to back home in that we don't really remember what kind of sexual education we had growing up. So sex education in Japan is mandatory, but it is basic, conservative, and often avoids important topics like consent, LGBTQ+ identities, and pleasure. Most schools start teaching about reproduction in the 5th or 6th grade, but it remains purely biological. So how does the sperm meet the egg in pregnancy and menstruation? And by the time you reach middle school or high school, you learn about basic anatomy and STIs, but rarely talk about contraception, and the message is being pushed that abstinence is safest. Kind of sounds like what we have in the Western world. So why is it so limited? I think that there are a lot of reasons similar to what we have back home. So for one being cultural conservatism. I've read that Japan has this don't talk about it kind of attitude towards sex, especially in schools. Then we have parental resistance. So parents thinking that if you talk about sex in school, then your kid is going to go out and have all this wild, crazy, unprotected sex, which we know by now is not true. I mean, I think we have a lot of data from many progressive societies in the world that show that teaching healthy, progressive sex education does not lead to wild, crazy, risky sex. And finally, we have government policies. Japan's Ministry of Health keeps sex ed strictly focused on health rather than sexuality and relationships. So where do people go to learn about it? The internet, anime, and their friends. All right, this last one had me really intrigued, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting as well. Did you know that in Japan, you can rent another human being to fill various roles in your life. Now, I'm not just talking about like an escort here, okay? There is a whole range of humans that you can rent, which we will get into. But just want to let you know that clearly there's a need for it if this service exists, and you really think about it, I can see the positive benefits, such as alleviating loneliness, creating more social connections. Some people prefer a more structured connection as opposed to a spontaneous relationship. This is one of the things that I did not have a chance to do on my trip either. Damn it. It's still on my bucket list of things to try next time, but if you go on YouTube, I recommend you do your own research and check out all the different kinds of videos of people trying this out because it's a thing. All right, it's a thing. So now I'm going to go through a list of potential people that you can rent if you are ever in Japan. Some companies offer family members or friends to attend things like weddings, funerals, or social engagements to help you keep up with appearances. Then you can rent boyfriends or girlfriends to go out on date with, to hold hands with, someone to hold you while you cry. And again, these are strictly non-sexual, so it's really just for companionship. And then we have this thing called an osan rental. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, osan, which is a middle-aged man that you can rent for advice or to help you run errands or just for casual conversation. And then we have cuddle cafes and companionship. So in these establishments, you can go and cuddle and hug someone, totally platonic, not sexual at all. And this is said to exist to help combat loneliness. Finally, we have host and hostess clubs, which are kind of a part of the adult industry. So these are like club type bar places that you go to flirt with girls, to talk with girls. Again, it is strictly non-sexual. You can buy them drinks, but they're really there to just kind of stroke your ego a little bit, listen to you about your hard day's work, and make you feel heard. During the red light comedy tour that I went on, Mishita, the host, told us that the main reason why men go to these hostess club type places is because it gives them a boost of confidence and helps them deal with their insecurities because they have these gorgeous women there talking to them and making them feel good and laughing at all their jokes. So it makes them feel nice about themselves. To each their own. Also, just a reminder, if you are interested in learning more about Japanese sex culture and the adult industry, you could check out my Patreon. I will link it in the description below this video. I just posted a video on there where I go into a little bit more detail about some of the crazy stuff that I learned while I was there. Oftentimes, when you order these women on websites, they tend to not look like what you ordered online. You can definitely check that out, and you will also have access to a bunch of other content, some travel vlogs, some bonus content, things like that, some community engagement. It's a great space, and just so you know, if you do join, you are supporting the growth and maintenance of this channel, and you are also motivating me to continue learning and creating content for you all. So it is much, much appreciated. So that was a lot of information and just a small piece of the wide spectrum of what is Japan's sex and relationship culture. Now, there are some things that I didn't say in this video. There are lots of things that I don't know or that I still need clarity on. So I invite you to comment below and share your insight and your experience. But one thing I do know is that Japan's unique approach to intimacy will continue to evolve, and that this country is not afraid to push the boundaries when it comes to pleasure and innovation. So what do you think about Japan's sex culture? Would you ever visit a love hotel? Would you ever visit the Tenga store? Drop it in the comments below. And again, if you want to check out my Patreon, click on the first link in the description. And if you like this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe for future videos. Thank you. Arigato.